If you want to go pick up a car flag, go see the guys at Pro-Am, just north of Yellowhead, St. Albert Trail, 128th Ave. Check out everything they got over at proamsports.ca. Let's bring in Jamie McLennan joining us on a Friday. Noodles, happy Friday, buddy. How you doing, man?
I'm good. How you guys doing today?
Good. We got a busy show today. Giving away a trip to Vegas.
I heard. I mean, I don't know. I got to be honest. I want to see the goon that's getting the tattoo. I mean, that is commitment. I love that.
But
he's got to be.
Yeah, we gave him time to get out. Like he mentioned this months ago, and I was like, yeah, we could definitely do it. I was thinking he'd change his mind, and then he reached out again. He's like, hey, I still want to do this. And I was like, okay, well, let's do it. Playoffs. We'll set you up on the show. We got a tattoo artist coming in, and yeah, we don't know where it's going on his body just yet. But if he's got other tattoos, can you imagine if this was the first tattoo you ever got? That would be nuts. That'd be crazy.
Yeah. If it is his first tattoo, then he's in for a world of pain of stuff that he didn't realize. If he walks in and he's tattooed from his eyebrows down, and he's just adding like a little tiny thing on his shoulder, then you're like, all right, this guy, it's old hat. But you're right. CC, who I love, Chris Cuthbert, I worked with at TSN, obviously.
Yeah.
He might be in for a rude awakening if you've got this guy in the background getting tattooed. He might say, what type of show are we running here?
I know.
I think it's a great first impression, to be honest.
It really is.
You kind of announce yourself there.
Yeah, Corey will be getting his tattoo right where CC's head is right now on that side of the screen there. So
I love it.
Yeah, it should be a good time. We have to start with Bob Cole, 90 years old, a hell of a run, the voice of so many generations of hockey, Olympics, Stanley Cup final after Stanley Cup final after Stanley Cup final. Noodle, you played in the league when he was calling it. You're a broadcaster yourself now doing games. What's the Bob Cole memory for you? What jumps off the page?
Well, obviously, I think everyone's used the term he was the soundtrack of our lives, right? Yep. Growing up, you hear you're in the kitchen, you hear his voice, right? You could tell what would be happening in the game by his cadence. But my one, I've got several memories of Bob, but the one that still kind of floors me, and I've said this before, for me, I've been very fortunate. Yes, I played in the NHL. Yes, I'm in broadcasting. So you get an opportunity to meet people and cross paths. But the weirdest thing for me still to this day is when somebody famous knows your name. That is still because I always will intend to go introduce myself and say, hi, I'm Jamie McLennan, or Noodles or whatever. And the one time I ran into Bob, we're at the rink and I go up to introduce myself and he's like, Jamie, how are you doing? And I thought that was weird. That's because again, when somebody like that knows your name, it's surreal. Wayne Gretzky, same thing. We have with Wayne, I've got a lot of mutual friends, right? So, but it's still weird, when somebody legendary knows your name and engages you, for lack of better words, is an equal, as opposed to you're a fan, meeting, your idol. And that's kind of what it was for me with Bob Cole, because I'm sure he'd called some games of mine, but just running into him and having a stop and chat with him, that was unbelievable. And seeing him, obviously you see him around the rink and say hello. And I always try to be respectful of guys and give them their space, but you want to go and say hello. I do that every time I would see him. So although it's a sad day, it's also a great day to remember a great man. Yesterday, there was a lot of great stories, a lot of great sound bites that came out. So, he had a long life, and his stamp will be forever on the NHL, loved in every circle.
The right delivery in the key moments, it's not easy to do, but he nailed it every time. It's just, perfect. Absolutely perfect. And you're right, man, growing up. You're sitting there as a kid, you're playing hockey in the basement, and you're listening to Bob Cole. Yeah, it's just, it's great. It's sad to see him go, but a hell of a run at 90 years old. More on Bob Cole with Chris Cuthbert here in about 25 minutes on Edmonton Sports Talk. Game 3 tonight between the Oilers and the Los Angeles Kings. And, coming off of an overtime loss there, Noodles, and I know you were out here for Game 1. What's your general feel through 2 games for this series right now?
My general feel is that Edmonton's been the better team. Game 1, 7-4, the score wasn't indicative. You had 2 goals that go in off skates. One where CC blows his stick up and then decides to just throw it over to them anyways. But really, I like Stuart Skinner's game in game one. I thought he was in control. I at no point during that game did I think Edmonton was in trouble. They dominated that game right from the drop of the puck. Game two was more concerning because it was almost like they were reading their press clippings. And I know there's no such thing as press clippings anymore. It's, you read online, you read the coverage. But Edmonton did not start on time. They did not start ready. They were casual. They were loose. It was almost like they thought LA was just going to mail in the series. And LA had a hell of a response. That top line came to play. And you're down 3-1 before you even blink. And, the two storylines out of that game was I didn't think they were ready to start, and I thought Stuart Skinner was not very good. And I know he can say the right things, and I loved his media afterwards and his media since, because you have to project. I say this, fake it to make it. You have to let everyone know you're confident, and I believe he's confident. He's a starter. He knows how to bounce back. But I didn't like his game, and I didn't like their start. I thought it was too casual, and they ended up catching up, but they didn't get the save when they needed it. And they're going to need that in LA. They got to go in there and make a statement.
Well, Noodles, I just want to get your thoughts because the term luck has been tossed around a lot over the past couple of games, and certainly game one, you could argue with the goals that LA scored near the end, and yeah, bounces and whatever. But game two, they show up, and I thought but how much of it is luck with the Kings, and what's the clover they're holding? 4-leaf, 3-leaf? Like what are we looking at here in terms of luck? And because I thought in game two, obviously showed up a bit better. But I know luck was kind of bandied around in this market and used in the post game. So how much of it with the Kings is just straight up luck, or how much do you see the fans and the Oilers and Skinner and everybody else? What level of concern if it's not luck that they should be looking at in games 3 or 4 down in LA?
I'll give you an example. Goal number 3, Drew Doughty's goal. That wasn't luck. That was lazy coverage, where Drew Doughty beats RNH up the ice, where Desharnais cheats over instead of identifying what the threat coming towards you, and Stuart Skinner falls onto his ass instead of just holding his position. So that's not luck. That maybe it's lucky that RNH lifts his stick at the last second and it rolls through Skinner. Yeah. But there's 3 or 4 mistakes before that. So, I think luck is, for me, that word is thrown around lazily. Yes, Adrian Kempe, like if Bouchard bats that out of the air, well, Kempe bats that out of the air as well. Maybe if Bouchard bears down on that play and gets ahead of the puck, he puts his glove there instead of whacking at it with his stick. Like, to me, there's, the first goal, Bouchard just casually throws it up the wall. It's picked off because LA's 1-3-1, reads it in the neutral zone, gone, in the back of your net before you even move. Those are lazy plays. That's not luck. That's LA picking you apart because you're not dialed in. And when they got dialed in, I thought the game was in. I thought Edmonton was going to win that game because they stormed back. And at 3-3, Cam Talbot made a game-saving save on Draisaitl in the back door. That's to me, that's an unbelievable timely save, because if they score there, the game's over for me. I thought they win the game on that power play, and they didn't score because Talbot made an unreal save. And then Desharnais screens. If you look at that goal, the Fiala goal, like, it's a bad goal, yes, because it's from on the boards from distance. But if you look at 73, at the last second, he skates through the screen to try and get out of the way, and Skinner looks right and then ends up dropping down late. Like, to me, there's culpable people everywhere. That's not luck. That's being dialed into the details of how important this time of year, one little slight mistake can cost you, and they didn't get it back. And unfortunately, yes, it's a stretch play, and everyone can say, well, Nurse didn't cheat over, but you got to manage the puck, and you've got to know what's going on. And yes, you need a save at the most critical time. They didn't get it the other night, but I'm looking for a response. So all the things I just laid out, that's not luck. That's attention to detail. Then you throw in the luck of a bounce here, a bounce there, all of that type of stuff. But if it's a percentage, it's 10% luck. It's the rest of really dialing in your own luck and your own fate.
I love the way you described their start as casual. That's exactly what it was to start that game, and they can't have that casual start.
You can create your own luck, and you also create luck for the opposition by, as you said,
the casual
making those
starts.
mistakes and casual starts.
One of the things that we've discussed here for the last day and a half now in the market is what type of adjustments, because Knobloch has been clear about it. McDavid said it a couple of weeks ago. They're a team that they juggle their line combinations. They're not afraid to mix it up. They've done it all year. So I'm going to be really fascinated to see what they go with in Game 3, because some of the guys have been playing extremely well. Game 1 offensively, they were great. Noodles, would you tweak anything? Would you move anybody around, or do you just kind of run it back and say, hey, be smarter with the puck early in the hockey game.
So in this instance, I'm going to run it back.
Yeah.
And the reason being is you give everybody a chance to bounce back. It's not, I can't just circle one guy and go, he was terrible, and you pull him out and that fixes everything. It was a casual start, and you expect more from the goaltender. I mean, when you're scoring 4 goals in the playoffs, you should win. That's you tighten things up, you be a lot better. So I think you run the same exact roster back. You can move the deck chairs around while it's out there. And what I mean is, game 1, I felt like Knobloch didn't take Kane off the ice. I think he was trying to find him extra ice time, trying to find him that confidence. Kane has been noticeable for me, but I still need more from him from production. And I think it's coming. Confidence is a big thing. The Oilers, I've said this all along. McDavid, Draisaitl, Skinner, Bouchard, that the spine of this team, you have it, Hyman, but the X factor is going to be Kane, because at some point he's going to have to impose his will. And if it's, grab PLD and beat the hell out of him or do something, it's going to be, he's got to be a difference maker that helps this team, the confidence in that. So I can understand in game 1, I felt like Knobloch came back with Kane almost every second shift. That third line was out there a ton. And now the score was out of hand, so you're trying to get guys ice time. Will it be interesting? Does he get Holloway more ice time? Does he try to get him? Holloway looked good, obviously gets the 2 goals, but I think he's been effective when he's been out there. So you're looking at guys, you're going to go, if you go with the same roster, it's just making sure that the guys are going, you find them extra shifts and find them extra ice time to help build their confidence. And that helps build the group throughout the playoffs.
Hockey analyst Jamie McLennan from TSN with us this morning. Nielson Show, Edmonton Sports Talk. I just wanted to get your thoughts on Holloway as well, in a very bright spot and developing into an X factor of his own here over the last little while and playing pretty good in Baco, the call-up, the 2 goals the other night. So in the spirit of lineups, and we heard your answer there, and I would agree with you, just kind of run it back. It's 1 loss, let these guys respond. But I guess if there's any way you look to make some sort of a knob adjustment or anything, it would be maybe elevating him or maybe keeping him down there and having, as we kind of said yesterday, it's his Holloway line.
It's been a great line, yeah.
It's been great. So, just an opportunity here for you to gush about him and what you saw and maybe what you expect and where you might see this thing developing and going in terms of lineup changes and a bright spot X factor gets way up the lineup.
Well, he's an X factor because he's got speed and skill, and he's got size. The other thing you add in is size. Is when I look at him, so I look at Ryan McLeod, who took a big step this year, because Ryan McLeod decided that he was going to use his speed, use his skill, and get to middle ice. And all of a sudden, things fell for him. He started to get points. He started to chip in. The one thing with Holloway is he looks like he's got some courage right off the drop. And what I mean by that is courage to get to middle ice, courage to hold on to the puck and use his skill. Now, you got to be smart within that. I see a lot of young players. I want to see, for example, Holloway has a great game 2. Can you follow it up? Because you're not going to score 2 goals every day. So can you follow it up and have the consistency? Or have you been distracted the last 2 days because your buddies have been texting you and calling you and everybody's been telling you how great you are? So you have to follow it up with the mature game, because it might not be 2 goals, but it might be a critical play. A forecheck where you turn the puck over and you get your line mate the puck. A back check where you win a loose puck battle. Because that's what playoffs are all about. It's making an impression every shift. And Holloway, he's been impressionable for me. I've liked it. In game 1, he didn't play a lot, but I could see they were trying to get Kane some ice time. In game 2, he got the ice time and he delivered. Now let's see what he follows it up with, because a lot of times young players, they have the ebbs and flow, in their game because they don't have the maturity. And I say this respectfully. This isn't a shot at him. A lot of young players, they get really high and they get really low throughout the cadence early on in their career, just because it's the first time around. But I really like the skill set. I like the speed. I like the size. I like the aggressiveness. He's a player. I just wish he had 200 games under his belt where you're a mainstay in the lineup and they know exactly what you're going to get from him night in and night out. He's still developing that.
As always, Noodles, we appreciate it, man. Enjoy that. Enjoy game 3 tonight. We'll catch up next week.
I've got room right here on the shoulder if you guys want.
Next time you're in town, slide on by. We're dishing them out.
My left shoulder's taken. My arms, everywhere else is taken. I've got room on my right
Perfect.
shoulder. There we go.
Perfect. We'll up your
All right.
rate. We'll up your rate just a little bit. We'll get that tattoo on you. That'd be perfect. See you later, man.
Please say hi to Chris Cuthbert. I love that man. He's a great, great man.
I will for sure. We'll pass that along. Thanks, Noodles. See you later, buddy. It's
Take care,
Jamie
guys.
McLennan, brought to you by Pro Am Sports. Chris Cuthbert in about 15 minutes.